So, David, I mean, you've had a history in Calgary's business community. I mean, you've done a vast amount over 30 years. Do you mind letting the listeners know a little bit about your story? I know you and your wife had come to Canada after, I think, 99. So,
Well, it was December 28, 1998. It was plus 25 when we left Tel Aviv, and it was minus 18 when we landed in Calgary in the same day. So that was the welcoming committee, minus 18. So we're here, we just celebrated 22 years since we immigrated to Canada. And when you say I have a history in the business community, I hope also have a future, because I'm not done yet. So yeah, in 99, I kind of looked around and decided what I want to do when I grow up. And commercial real estate looked very appealing to me. So I joined what at the time was Road Real Estate on Valentine's Day 2000. So I'm going to celebrate 21 years in the company next month. And in 2001, I became a partner. In 2009, I bought the company, and I still own majority of the company, 89%. And so what I did also in 2014, together with partner Craig Bentham, I launched a real estate investment fund, which is a private REIT. We raise money from the public, but not on the public market, through the exempt market, and we buy properties both sides of the border. So I have those two companies, the Barker Street Real Estate, which has offices in Calgary and in Edmonton. We do commercial real estate brokerage and property management. And Triumph Real Estate Investment Fund, where we buy commercial real estate properties, give quarterly distributions, and then we'll sell the properties as we add value to those.
how is, well, that's quite a bio, by the way. You forgot to add your favorite basketball team.
Well, I was a GM in basketball, professional basketball, back before I immigrated. I'm done with professional sports. I'm just watching it right now. My favorite basketball team since 1980 is the Lakers. So finally, we're back into a position that I can be proud of. We had a few years of drought, complete drought.
Of course. Yeah. After Kobe left, that was tough.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to a Lakers game?
Yeah, I've been to a Lakers game. I took my family there, and my wife asked me kind of, I think at the end of the second quarter, if I can, wave the smile off my face, because she said, you look like a kid. I said, well, it's a dream come true.
Of course. Yeah, no, that's amazing. Now, David, tell me this, can the public invest into your fund or no?
Yeah,
like the general public?
We raise money from the public. We raise it through what's called the exempt market, and you have exempt market dealers. The big ones are based here in Calgary and Edmonton. The big one, whether it's Pinnacle that we work with, and then you have others like Rethink and Diversify, Whitehaven, Access. They all have reps in Calgary, Edmonton, all over the province, in rural Alberta, and some of them are spread from ocean to ocean. So we raise money only in Canada.
Okay. No.
And we, as I mentioned, we buy both sides of the border. Here in Canada, we have 3 properties in Alberta, 1 in Ontario, in Ottawa to be exact. And then in the US, we focus only on 3 markets at this point. Phoenix, we have a few properties. Denver, we have a few properties, and we're now in the process of buying the first property in Dallas.
Wow.
Those are markets that we've been following, and those are the markets that represent the biggest growth in population and in employment. So those are the markets we're focused on. And
has the chaos in America disturbed you guys?
It will disappear. It's the news today and yesterday, and it's unfortunate. And I had already calls with our friends in those markets that were kind of active, and they're embarrassed as well. And I told them, well, it's good that we now, the Canadians, can laugh at your expense, foreign exchange.
For once, yeah.
But I think that the other thing that I wanted to mention is our fund is also it's a private REIT, it's a trust. So right now, as RSP and TFSA season, we raise a lot of money right now. And the reason is we see a lot of opportunities right now. COVID has created some fear with some landlords, and so they're trying to sell. It's a great opportunity for us to go low ball. And the famous phrase in our industry is, it's not how you sell, it's how you buy.
Absolutely.
And now it's great opportunities to buy, cheap financing, a lot of potential value add for our investors.
Wow. Now, David, how did you find your passion and love for real estate or commercial real estate?
My previous life, I had my insurance brokerage, and I got to a point that I didn't want to do insurance anymore. And when we immigrated, what happened is the government lost my medical exams. So I had to do new medical exams, and I couldn't work and I couldn't do anything. So I was just driving around. And at the time, I remember I told my wife in one of our, driving through town, I said, real estate seems like really hitting hard here and growing, and it's looks like has great potential. And that was mid '99. And so I got a few meetings with people that are in the industry that, through being here for a few months, got to know them or got to know how to get to them. Had a few meetings and decided to go and take the real estate course. At that time, it was one course. And so I did the real estate course. And from day one, I said, I'm going commercial, I'm not going residential. I like to work with business people. I like the numbers game. I don't want to go into the residential, which is mostly an emotional sale. Mm-hmm. I think the difference is, excuse me, when you sell a house, you hear people say, "Oh, I see myself having kids here. I see myself doing this here. I envision we can grow as a family here." Yeah. When you go and you work on the commercial side, when I did investment sales, is okay. What are the numbers? Does it make sense for me? There's no emotion side to it. Even though I'm a very emotional guy. Yes. Probably I didn't want to disclose that. So
you can tell. I've seen your family life too on your show on social media. You're an amazing dad and a husband. Yes.
Thanks. Yes. I hope they say that as well.
Do you find business and life is so correlated for you, where how you apply yourself in life from a boy to today has still stuck with you?
Well, life and business is part of life. Yes. They all go together. And being a family man, and probably today better than I was when I was younger, you have to realize that you cannot succeed if you don't have support, if you don't have people that are holding you when you feel, a little bit shaky, people that support what you do, people that encourage you to do, and that's, I think, where it goes together. And you can be a workaholic and lose everything, which I can give you a few examples after the broadcast, but finding the balance in life is the most important thing. And I didn't have balance when I was out, first job and second job and GM. I didn't have balance at that time. So that's why I say today I'm probably a better family man than I was when we just had our first kid or second or shortly after our second boy was born.
Who believed in you, or was it yourself firstly? Someone had to believe in you to be able to create the man you are today.
Well, number one is you have to believe in yourself. Yeah. If you don't believe in yourself, don't go to any, adventure. Mm-hmm. Number two is my wife. She always believed in me. She always supported me. I'm 6'5" and 250 pounds. She's 5'2" and 103 pounds, and she's the rock. It's the support that we gave each other and the contribution we give still today to each other after 36 years of marriage, to advance and succeed in what we do. So I do this. She is an artist she presents all over the world now. So I believe in her, she believes in me, but she believes in her art. I believe that what I do, I'm passionate about real estate. I'm passionate about commercial real estate. I'm passionate about what I do with my employees here. And I don't call them employees. We call ourselves the Barclay Street family, and we call ourselves colleagues. But it starts with your own belief in yourself, and it's not just belief. You have to try and improve all the time, because and surround yourself with people that are smarter than you in what they want what their job description is, because you can't be everything to everybody.
No.
And so it's whether it's Tamara or controller or Teresa or Sarah that believe in me as well here in our office, or John or Dan that believe in me in our office. And so that's it. You have to be open enough and vulnerable enough to accept those emotions back from them, and that gives you the continued belief and energy to believe in yourself.
Do you bring a lot of the energy from work home? Because you're an entrepreneur, you take it home. It doesn't leave. You know, when I'm done work, it stays at work.
Well, I try, as I said, I try to balance it, and as life goes goes on, I get more and more balanced. Do I take some work home? I try to do necessarily. I didn't take any work home, and some weekends I just do, an hour and a half on a Sunday, but that's it. The Friday are me and my wife. Our three kids are now out of. We have a son and his wife and his daughter living. The other son lives in Vancouver and the daughter lives in Toronto. So it's more me and my wife together. And so I try to get less work home and be more of, spending time together, being a husband, and stay in touch with, now it's over, all the electronic devices, stay in touch with the kids. But, I figured out that in real estate, it's not brain surgery. I don't control the code number for the nuclear warhead. Everything for tomorrow. So, as I said, you have to find balance, and that's something very important, especially for entrepreneurs, because as you mentioned, and as I mentioned, there were years that I wasn't finding balance in my life.
Do you feel, was there a moment in your life when you hit that big break? What was that feeling like, when you got when you bought the company, when it was completely yours? Was that the moment where you're like, wow, or was that just more work?
I think the big kind of aha moment that I like what I do, I like commercial real estate, and that's why I bought the company, and that's why I started my fund, was when I think it had two experiences. Yeah. One is a broker, when you broker a big deal. My claim to fame, my success as a broker, or the success story that I use all the time, I had a deal, I closed the deal as a broker between a buyer and a seller for $18.5 million in 12 hours. Oh. 12 hours from start to waiver of condition, $1 million non-refundable in the bank for the seller, done deal.
Oh my!
The next day, my wife and I were on the way to Hawaii, by the way, to Maui. So that was one aha moment that I love, because I love the interaction with people. The second was that 2 years before that, I had my first experience as being a buyer, investing in commercial real estate, running commercial real estate, and then selling it two years later with a return cash on cash of over that had 3 digits in percentage. So over 100% return in 2.5 years, cash on cash. So those were my aha moments, because as I said, I didn't like the insurance and I was happy to leave and I had no intentions to do it here. And it took me a while to find my passion. I was 40 when I found my passion. It took me a few good years, about 15 years since from the time I got into the business world until I found my true passion. And now I don't feel I go to work. I feel it's not a job for me. It's not a job for me. It's what I like to do. I'm passionate about real estate. This morning I had like a few calls already on trying to buy more real estate for the investors, and I'm an investor as well in my own fund.
Of course.
And it just, I enjoy every minute of it. And
are you seeing
the negotiations with the lender, the negotiations with tenants, the negotiation with the seller, buyer, depends which hat I'm wearing at that time. And that's how I see it. I see it as it's not a job for me. It's fun. I'm enjoying it.
David, do you lose patience now with the young guys coming in the business and you're like, this is not the way to negotiate?
At the end of the day, I don't think there's any difference on the end result of the negotiation. Meaning, let me explain. When I started, we didn't have WhatsApp or fax was the biggest invention when I started. Just for you to understand, fax machine. It was the roll-up paper. So that's when, like a few years after I started, that was the biggest invention. But at the end of the day, when you negotiate with someone about 18 million or 5 million or whatever in commercial real estate it is eyeball to eyeball and belly to belly. So you can send some information over the internet. You can send waivers or send an offer to the lawyer to review. Everything can go. But at the end of the day, I'm talking now after 20 deals as a buyer seller or more, and over $500 million in deals that I brokered. We always end up with either a Zoom call if it's multiple cities. We either work or we end up in an office having a meeting when COVID is gone. So at the end of the day, when you talk those numbers, it's very rare that people will make a decision without walking the property, meeting the people, talking to the people, and understanding the property, whether they lease it for some time or whether they want to buy it. So you can paint all this IT, inventions as much as you want as the next.
It's still the fundamental roots.
But it's the eyeball to eyeball and belly to belly that you say, press hard 3 copies, and you look at the body language. And body language is part of negotiations.
Interesting. Yeah.
Now, when it comes to the young guys, I enjoy so much mentoring today, the young guys, that I have regular meetings with my brokers. We don't do now an annual kind of business plan. We do 90 days. And every 90 days I meet. Of course, I'm here all the time to talk to them, but every 90 days I sit with every broker and go over what's going on in the next 90 days and what's successful for the previous 90 days.
Are you there every day at work nowadays?
Since January 2nd, I work from home 4 days.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
I don't know if it's good, but that's reality.
No. Do you feel a lot of the properties in Calgary, especially in the downtown area, are going to go into receivership more or less? And the opportunities for your fund to invest, now is the time for people to get in.
I hope that they won't go into receivership. Receivership is never good for anyone. It's not good for the city. It's not good for the owners. It's not good for tenants. It's not good for anyone. So I hope that it won't go to receivership. I think that the biggest difference I see between 2009 financial collapse, or that started in October 2008, and today is the lenders are willing to work with the owners for a longer term of period, trying to fix what the problems. The lenders do not want to end up with buildings, whether empty or half full or 3/4 full or a third full. And the reason is they are not real estate people. So they prefer to work with the real estate people and help them. And that's what we see. And that's what we got the deferrals. And that's what we got different kind of arrangements with lenders. And they were very open this time compared to 2008, 2009, 2010, which what they did, what exactly you described. They just went to receivership, and then they figured out, okay, we own buildings that we have no clue what to do with.
The vacancy rate to drop, or are you looking at the property as an investor? Are you looking at it to resell it for more or fill it up?
So our fund is called Income and Growth, or Growth and Income. So when we buy properties that have enough income to pay the mortgage, the property tax, and hopefully have some money left for distributions. But we buy properties that either have some vacancy, not a major vacancy, but some vacancy. We buy properties that rents are below market, and we try to value add to kind of fill up the empty spaces and increase the rents and work with our tenants. I can tell you that during COVID, we renewed some tenants for the next 6 or 7 years, and some of them with higher rates that we had before the renewal. We just sold a property exactly a year ago in January. The first property we sold from our fund was exactly what I described as our play. Our play is to buy it, fill up the vacancy, increase rents, renew everybody, and then sell. Our return to the investor just from this property, not from the fund, the whole fund, but just was 19.3% per year over 3.5 years. So that's our play. That's why we will not touch downtown offices, because that's not how we buy properties. We buy the B market, the suburban market, the small plazas neighborhood plazas, because the neighborhood plaza, what they do is they give you service. You cannot get a haircut over the Amazon. You can't get a cart of milk over Amazon. Maybe now can. You cannot get your nails over Amazon or whoever competes with Amazon. But you can get them when you drive from work home, on your way home. And that's why, for example, we buy only smaller shopping neighborhood centers, or plazas as we call them.
Do you look in other areas like Airdrie and Okotoks, or just primarily in the bigger
We'll
areas?
buy the greater Calgary, the greater Denver, the greater Dallas, because those big cities are becoming today metropolitans. It's one big happy family or unhappy family, dysfunctional family, depends where you are, which market. But that's what we were focused. We won't go to Yuma in Arizona. We won't go to Flagstaff in Arizona. We won't go to Colorado Springs in Colorado. So it's for Dallas, Denver, Phoenix, Calgary, Ottawa, Edmonton, or the surrounding attached kind of municipalities to them.
David, it's interesting because as an entrepreneur, you've also put yourself out on social media. You have a podcast. How did you say, okay, I'm going to open myself up to the world? Because a lot of people, that are in those positions like to protect their personal life and they don't want to showcase it. But with you want to be transparent and show the community, look, this is who I am. This is what I do. This, which is amazing. It's pretty neat to see you on Instagram. I like that. I gotta say, and it's you yourself, which is awesome.
Well, I have 3 kids, and they made me start Instagram, so it's their fault. And now that I'm busy on Instagram and Facebook, they go, "Okay, why are you putting this?" And why? It has to do with I perceive myself as a very open and being and able to be vulnerable person. And I'm proud of what I do, whether it's raising money for wounded soldiers, whether it's, being involved. I was involved for 4 years in the Calgary Economic Development Real Estate Committee. I was on the board of TCN, a worldwide organization of brokerages. So I'm proud of what I do. I think I was always involved in community work all my life since I remember myself. Um, and I don't understand why you want to hide it. I think you have to be. It's
Open.
part of who you are. It's part of what represents you, and the more you tell the story, the more people relate to you. So um, I never had a problem. I never had a problem to make a joke about myself and then be fun and enjoy life and that's
What made you? What made? What made you start your podcast? I actually love it, by the way. You've had it for years.
Yeah, I had it for almost 3 years. They approached me.
Yeah.
It's called the Voice America. It's a radio over the internet, voiceamerica.com. My show is called Taking Care of Business, where I interviewed business people, entrepreneurs mostly, or coaches, business coaches. And when they called me, I thought that someone, they sent me an email. I said, okay, it's a hoax. No, but I don't know who those company. And then the guy calls me and we have a conversation. And I tell him, you know that my accent nobody understands. You know that my English sucks. And you still want me on the show. And he goes, yeah, I think you have an interesting story. So we had a pilot of 12 weeks or 16 weeks, I can't remember. And then they offered me a year long, and then they offered me an extension for another year, and then another few months. And so I stopped it about a year and a half ago, but there's now confidential negotiations on a new radio show.
I can't wait. That'll be exciting. Do you enjoy it though? No.
Sorry?
Do you enjoy doing it, speaking?
Oh, I loved it. The problem was it was a lot of prep before, because I interviewed people from the U.S., from what was it? For a lot of Canadian, of course, someone from Latvia, like entrepreneurs all over the world, because it was over the internet, so it was easy to do.
You know what? It helps your communication. Like, I mean, even me practicing with you, it all helps. It all adds up to who you become.
Yeah, and you enjoy it, and when you have someone, I guess, that you get them to become emotional through the broadcast, that you feel so good as the host that you broke a wall here, that you penetrated a wall.
Yeah. Who was, in your lifetime, who was somebody that you looked up to in business or are inspired by? If there was a few people, was it your parents? Was it, a certain individual back home or here?
My parents both worked, they weren't entrepreneurs. And when I decided to start my own insurance brokerage in Israel, my father called me and he said he didn't sleep three weeks since I went on my own. And I told him I didn't sleep for 3 weeks before I made the final decision. Since then, I'm sleeping like a baby. But I had a few people that kind of influenced, or I was looking at them. One was the owner of the basketball team when I was a GM. He passed away, unfortunately, in a car accident. But he was a very successful person that understood business, and he basically saved me. I was offered to run for city council back home in Israel, and I was a young guy, and we had a meeting. I remember where we had the meeting, and he said, "Just don't go into politics. It's a bad game," and he was right. So I always say he saved me, but he was a very successful entrepreneur, a very successful businessman. And I kind of learned a lot from him. The other person that I kind of tried to learn a few things is John Thoreau, the guy that started this company in 1973, and we bought it from him in 2001. And along the way, you have so many people you learn from that you don't even think about it. And I can probably mention another 5 or 6 names. If I get to think about it, because each one of them has something to contribute to you. It's not that one person gives you the whole story. So I can probably name a few more that I've learned, and sometimes you learn what not to do.
Is your parents still around, David?
No, both my parents passed away. Tonight is the 18th anniversary since my father passing away, the 18th year. And my mom passed away 34 years ago. She was young. And yeah, I'm
Sorry, 34 years
looking for
ago.
someone to adopt me. I'm an orphan.
Oh. If your parents were going to see you right now from above, and they do, what would they say to you? Would they be
My
proud
mom
of
would-
you today?
My mom would be very proud. She, you have to realize my parents were Holocaust survivors.
Okay.
So when they moved from Europe to Israel, it was a different lifetime, different experience, different everything. So
Were they
they were
in
looking,
Auschwitz? Or
no, they were in another camp. I can't remember the name of
okay,
the
yeah.
camp.
Wow.
My brother probably remembers. And Auschwitz is the most famous, but there were so many.
Oh, yes, that's
Uh,
right.
and so for them, it was a different life experience. So they were looking for a very stable job that they know life stabilized.
Of course.
But I know my mom will be very proud. My father will just come with a bunch of questions. He was a
What are you doing?
because he was a bookkeeper, right? So he
Oh, yeah.
had a bunch of questions. How do you do this? How do you pay this? How do you manage money? That will be my dad. But at the end of the day, I know he will be proud,
Yeah.
but with a bunch of questions that I'll be interrogated by him.
Yeah, he's like, he's looking at all the debt versus this versus I can't sleep. That's funny. Thank you so much, though, David. I appreciate this today.
My pleasure. I wish everybody happy, healthy, and prosperous 2021 and beyond. And we're all, as someone said, we're all in it together, and we're all going to get out. But I like to end up with one quote from Albert Einstein, and I think everybody should look at this in this way. Albert Einstein said, "In every difficulty lies an opportunity." And that's how we should look at 2020. The opportunities are coming.
Mm-hmm.
Don't miss them. Go full speed ahead. Thank you so much, Zach. I appreciate you inviting me. I didn't know. I don't know if it's good or not, but
It was really good. I have so many questions. One day for you, we'll have to talk, but off this stuff.
Once the restaurants are open,
We're going.
we can have a lunch.
Absolutely. Thank you, David.
Thank you. Bye.
See ya.